Hi everyone, my name is Danny and this is my vlog, which of course means video blog or video log. And for those of you who are new, it's just a blog about perhaps things that I have on my mind, some of my interests, interesting things that have happened, you know, in the more recent. Could be something that I wanted to talk about today or yesterday or last week. Maybe I just need to get something off my chest. Maybe I need to vent or whatever. It's just a way to connect with some of the people in my life and that type of thing. So today is Monday, November 6th, 2017, and the time is 12:38 p.m. Okay, so there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about on today's blog. First off, we'd like to talk about the weather here. Of course, here is Canada, and I'm in the province of Newfoundland, and so that's the most, Newfoundland is the most easterly point in Canada, and in the opposite direction, out west, the most furtherly west, is the province of British Columbia. They've actually already had snow, and the province right next to them is Alberta, and they've already had snow. And so, to me, I just feel that for them to have snow is quite early. But here in St. John's, we haven't had any real snow yet, but it has been getting quite cold here. Since the last time I talked about here in the city of St. John's, there was a mayoral race, mayoral election, and that's happened. So of course the new mayor is Danny Breen. He seems like a nice guy, seems like a decent guy. So hopefully he'll do a good job being the mayor of St. John's. Next thing that I wanted to talk about would be I organize pickup soccer games, and some of my followers are from there. Our last game was on Saturday, and so Saturday's game had a really good turnout. It seemed to be better organized on my part. The game had a lot of good passing, good shooting, good dribbling, a few good goals, and good sportsmanship as usual, which is also very important. So we had more people, so it was the pitch was a little more dense, but it was still a good way to get some good cardio in, and a nice way to spend a Saturday afternoon. And so we just wanted to say thanks to all you who came out. It's appreciated. We play at the university here, and I just want to also say that at the university you can't miss but seeing the new science building that's being built. And so this new science building, I guess what they were saying was the old science building, which was sort of almost in the middle of a campus, it was just needing so many different repairs and stuff. And so it just was getting too expensive to just have that older one. And so they were kind of almost losing money. So this new one where the old parking lot was, and a lot of people who have cars and needed that parking space were complaining because they would have lost some parking spots. But it seemed like the beginning part was taking forever, like that foundation. I just couldn't understand how long it would take to build a foundation, and then they seem to almost take breaks in the construction of it, like a few months break in between. But it seems like now that they have the building process is really going. They have a lot of the steel structures in and stuff. So hopefully that Mund Science building is going to get done quickly. In the news, unfortunately, 26 people were shot to death in a Texas church yesterday. So that's really unfortunate. It's a touchy subject too, whenever you're talking about guns, and because at this point nobody really knows enough. So it's not really good to speculate. All I can say is sympathies to the 26 people, and there were also an extra 20 that were injured, so they could have also very easily died also. So sympathies and condolences to all of them and their families. And it seems like the few things that have come up in the news are it's a 26-year-old man, so 26 is very young. So that sort of surprised me. I was kind of expecting like a middle-aged man, like sort of like Stephen Paddock, the guy who sort of did that crazy massacre in Las Vegas. You kind of expect sometimes like a middle-aged man. You don't tend to think of a 26-year-old, especially in the demographic of being like a white guy, right? So it's hard to say what happened. There are some people that are reporting that he has ties to ISIS, but who knows if that's true or not. There are some people who are saying that he has ties to Antifa. You kind of think that a lot of these things, the assassins are more older people, people who've gone through the life and they're like, oh, well, life has just been so unfair to me, I give up, sort of. So that's kind of why I said that 26 to me is very surprising, although there are exceptions. If you think of, unfortunately, the terrorist groups, most of them are young men, very young men, right? So I don't know, it's hard to understand that, why he would go after probably like the most innocent people of all, right? Churchgoers on Sunday, right? I don't know what would be his motivation for that. And to take out like not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 26 people dead just like that. I just don't comprehend that. Next, I wanted to talk about Gord Downie, and of course Gord Downie, the frontman of the Tragically Hip, the Canadian band. So Gord Downie, of course, he was diagnosed maybe over a year ago or so. He had a brain tumor that was cancerous, and so his doctor said that it was incurable and a terminal cancer, and he might have only had maybe a year left. And of course the Tragically Hip, which are a staple in Canadian music, they made one last tour all across Canada last summer, and it pinnacled with that final concert in Kingston, Ontario. And after that, within a few months, it's weird because just as an ordinary person and not really being near Gord, I can only sort of follow what he's up to on the internet, and that's very limited. And so the very limited view of what you do see is, oh well, he looks okay on that picture, he looks okay in that video. You know, they're doing reports that he's making some songs or whatever, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it seems like I checked the internet and he's passed away. So to me, like, that was just still surprising for me because I guess it's sort of like, oh, well, he's doing well, maybe like he can prolong the diagnosis or prolong the length of time that the doctors and make the doctors wrong or something like that. So it's still surprising. Also wanted to talk about this Corey Feldman thing here. So Corey Feldman, sort of this, especially known as a childhood actor in movies, in hits like The Goonies and I think The Lost Boys, License to Drive, and so forth. And he did a lot of those movies with Corey Haim, and Corey Haim is a Canadian actor, well, Canadian, actually, the way I should put it, Corey Haim is Canadian, but I guess it's hard to, you can't really call him a Canadian actor because most of his success was due to movies in the U.S. So, but they became best friends and stuff, and it's interesting because they became best friends at like as teenagers and stuff, and throughout, and Corey Haim died a few years ago at a very young age. But throughout all those years, they kind of maintained that they were still always best friends, and it's kind of interesting because how many, and they were very public about that, even towards the end when they made that reality show. I think it was called The Two Coreys and stuff, and because how few where you see two guys who actually can say that they're two legitimately best friends for that amount of time. I think that's a big rarity, right? And it's kind of like, as a fellow Canadian, it's kind of a little interesting because to have a Canadian, an American say, oh yeah, your best friend happens to be a Canadian, and so you kind of wonder sometimes if Americans like Canadians or not, but to consider one your best friend, and I think that's kind of interesting to me. But what they kind of say in the public, oh well, they're best friends. I mean, it does seem quite legitimate to me. It's hard to really say if it's just sort of kind of a marketing gimmick. But anyways, so Corey Feldman, I guess he's been sort of saying for years and years, since like decades, that he was molested by pedophiles or whatever. And then when he did an autobiography, choreography or whatever it's called, a few years ago, he was saying that he was going to release the names of his molesters, but he didn't. I think his publishers didn't want to, or whatever. And then now, after this whole like Harvey Weinstein stuff and all the sexual harassment thing, so Corey Feldman comes up again. He's kind of going to the media, and he's saying, oh well, that yes, these men molested him as a child and stuff, and he wants to do something about it and stuff, and now he's saying, oh well, like he's going to name names or he's going to make a movie or whatever. And I mean, it's hard to say. Like I'm very skeptical about all of it. You know, people say that he's holding out for money. He's holding out just to make money out of it and stuff. But just out of curiosity, he did. He appeared to talk about that on the Dr. Oz show. I mean, like, the thing is that, like, the Dr. Oz show is a TV show, and generally speaking, TV is not real because it's a market that's regulated by ratings, and ratings are assessed by advertisements, and ratings in 2017, because everything's already been done, is all about getting people's attention by sensationalism or drama and stuff. So you can't really believe any type of TV, including the Dr. Oz show. However, it is better than, let's say, if he would have went on the Dr. Phil show, because, like, the Dr. Phil show is just really bad in my opinion. I mean, it's dramatic, it's entertaining, it's sensationalistic, but it's just all about ratings. And or you kind of expect, you know, if you go to something like Entertainment Tonight or those types of shows where, you know, you have like one of these big so-called interviews, and they take like a 5-minute interviews and then they cut it up into like 10 pieces, so that a 5-minute interviews becomes 10 different shows, just so that they can get people to watch 10 different times, to pay their advertisers 10 different times. And that's sort of nonsense, right? So that's sort of what I was still expecting. So, I mean, because Dr. Oz is, he is a physician, he's a surgeon, and he's a current physician, meaning it would be something if he was retired and he was done it. He wouldn't be so regulated by different policies and rules. But because he's a practicing physician, he's still regulated by the bodies, the medical bodies, that he has to stand by certain types of ethics and values and that type of thing. So he can't really like have someone come on his show and completely BS, because and have a doctor promote that type of thing. So like for Corey Feldman to, it would have been easier to him to go on a show like Dr. Phil, because Dr. Phil probably wanted him. So I give him credit for Corey Feldman to go on something like the Dr. Oz show. And I watched the show yesterday, and it seemed like interesting because it was a pretty good show. I was sort of skeptical. I was thinking, oh, well, you know, this is just going to be about ratings and promoting a movie or something. But it seemed pretty sincere, where like they actually made this phone call to the police, the LAPD, the Los Angeles Police Department. So when you go to the police, it changes everything. That's a whole different thing, right? So because when you go to the police and you make a complaint, they take those quite seriously, and they do tend to investigate those. So anyways, we'll see what happens. I'm just going to end this video blog with a bit of guitar here. So you're probably wondering, and again, I always say this because I've done this before, that I'm just an amateur guitarist, and I'm just a beginner. I'm not that good, but practice makes perfect, and eventually, through time, I'm going to get better and better. So today, I've decided that I'm just going to show you guys one chord, and that one chord that one chord that I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys the C chord, the key of C. So I've taken lessons, and one thing that I've noticed is that the teacher will make you go to the C chord a lot, like all the time. So it's a very basic chord, right? So, okay. I still need a little bit of help here with some of my teachers' teachings, but eventually because I've sort of taken a bit of a break from it, and I tell you, just like anything, when you take a break from things, you tend to forget, right? So I haven't really been I've been away for this for all summer, but it's a good time to get back into it since the weather is getting crappier, right? So, okay, so for the C chord, what you do is you take your index finger and you put it on the first fret of the B chord. And so I'm going to do that right now. And then you take your middle finger and you put that on the second fret, and the string would be the D chord. And then you take your ring finger and you put it on the third fret, and the string would be the A chord. Okay. And here, let's give this a go. The teacher will always say this, that beginners always have the problem of making it sort of that thumping sort of sound, but with practice that'll go away, right? So yeah, so I definitely need to get better at that, because perhaps I need to tune the strings a little bit or something. But yeah, practice makes perfect, right? So it's kind of like. So, as I was saying before, every once in a while I'll show you guys how my progress is going with this acoustic guitar. So, I think I'm just going to end it here. So, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. Thank you for watching all of my videos. It's much appreciated. And make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. So make sure you click on that subscribe button so that you can know when I put up a new video and stuff, and get all those notifications and all that good stuff. All right? So, yep, that's it. Peace out.